allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call, please.
Mrs. Ballinger.
Here.
Mr. Fisher.
Here.
Mrs. Fisher.
Here.
Mrs. Holtz. Mrs. Kirschner.
Here.
Mrs. Minor.
Here.
Mr. Sayers.
Here.
Mr. Willer.
Here.
And Mrs. Ferguson Miller.
Here.
One absent.
Thank you. We start out with public comment. Mr. Bob, would you like,
I guess I'm the only one.
you're the only one on the comment here.
Anyway, Robert Stanley's my name, Mayor of Fairfield, long-term. Ron Harris was gonna make it from Carroll Valley as well, but he couldn't. My concern, of course, is the same as the last time I was here. Have you seen your spring budgets, taxes yet? Randy filed the gang raised them by 16%. So everything's higher. I know we live in difficult times right now, very difficult times. I foresee a recession coming. I went down and filled up the gas tank, one half a tank for $72 the other day. So we're all suffering from that. And our senior citizens are really hurting in Fairfield. We have a big community of senior citizens, as you know. Carroll Valley has a lot. And I think they can only take so much. I know you're meeting tonight to discuss the budget, and I did read in the paper where it could go up as much as 4.1%. And I would just ask that once again, consider our senior citizens and the folks that are having trouble staying in their homes, because they talk to me all the time. And I promised I would come down and speak with you. I know you have special needs here, and I know you have, it's a different world. 10 years ago, my deputy now, Hugh O'Donnell, would always come up here for the science fairs. We'd stay till midnight judging the science fairs. Hugh just passed away last Monday. We were with the STEM program at Goddard. After we retired, we did 25 years. I had a total of 64 years at Goddard and Navy. And we did 25 years in the STEM program in the education office at Goddard. In this last budget, not only cut out STEM, but cut out the education office. And NASA at Goddard, where I worked many, many years, and I was on the manned space side, just terminated 1,000 civil engineers and scientists. And they kept the manned space side, but eliminated the science side. NASA headquarters, this is kind of off the record, is considering in 2 years closing down at headquarters in Washington. Things are so desperate with the budget. Our budget is now faced with 1961 levels for NASA funding. We have two big asteroids coming in very shortly. I could talk about them some of the time. But the people that are studying all this stuff are gone. And we're all concerned about that. And I foresee difficult times, as I said. I'm recommending all my friends get back into 10% in your stock market to a 401k plans, because I see a big recession coming. That's only off my record, but I just wanted to throw that out. Anyway, thanks for your time, and I appreciate it. Can I stay for the meeting?
Yeah, you can stay.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we'll-
We're gonna go through all the budget stuff, so you
Okay,
get
thank you very
all
much.
kinds of updates.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we have for public comment. We're off to our budget meeting.
It'll be here. Do you want to turn around?
Yep, it'll be right over here.
Okay, gotcha.
You can spin your whole chair.
Yeah, you can turn your chair.
Turn the whole chair. You're the main event of the action.
No, you're fine, you're fine.
Okay, good evening, everyone. A brief report on the status of our 24 audit before I begin this presentation. We have 70% of our prepared by client materials uploaded into SureLink for SDK. I met with Kevin Stauffer this morning over Teams. He has a man who is going to start reviewing all those materials this week yet. So we are pushing hard for that end of May timeline. We still have to have a single audit done this year because of all that ARPAS money that the district got. So that may push us into June. because we're gonna have that piece that we still have to do on the end. But we're making great progress, and we're already starting looking at fiscal year 25 while we're working on 24. So I'm really trying hard to get the district back on track by this fall, as we've already talked about.
Thank you.
So tonight, we're gonna go through the budget. Just some review. We're gonna talk about this district projected revenues, millage, and Act 1 index. We're gonna talk about the projected revenue and expenditures, timelines, and then if there's any questions at the end. So what we do when we develop the budget, we look at historical trends for each revenue and expenditure line. We look at it line by line. We budget at the actual amount that is expected to be received or expended. Therefore, 150,000 contingency line is budgeted in the business office section. We do try to plan exactly what we're going to receive, exactly what we're going to spend. Unlike some other districts or organizations where they just add 2 or 3% to their expenditures every year and that becomes the budget, we do try to do like a zero-based budget and think about what are we going to buy in the next school year, and then that is what we budget for. But we can't accurately always predict the future, so we have a contingency line in the budget for those things that pop up that nobody was expecting. The Act 1 index, that's Pennsylvania law. It sets the maximum tax increases for a district without needing voter approval or PDE exceptions. The base index is calculated based on the percent changes in wages statewide, percent changes in school employee compensation, and therefore the base index is a rate of change in compensation. There is an adjustment to the base index based on the relative wealth of the district, with lower wealth districts receiving the largest upward adjustment. Over the past 10 years, the base index has averaged 3.5% here in Fairfield. The Act 1 index for Fairfield this coming school year, 26-27, is 4.1%. Our current millage rate is 12.2357, and tonight I'm recommending a millage rate increase of only 1%, which would put the millage rate up to 12.3581. So we're well within the Act 1 limits. The average assessed residential property in Fairfield is $228,550. That number is provided to me by Adams County Courthouse and their tax bureau. So a 1% increase would increase taxes about $28. The 4.1% would increase $115. But that's an average assessed value. Individual people could have more or maybe less. The millage history in Fairfield, back in 1718, we were at 10.27. Here in 25-26, the current school year, we're at 12.2357. 22-23 was a 0% increase. 24, we had a 4% increase. 25, we did 363. And last year, we just did 2%. To compare to other districts in Adams County for this current school year, Conewago's at 17.23, Upper Adams is 15.63, Littlestown's 13.53, Bermudian 13.78, Fairfield's 12.23, and Gettysburg's 11.48. So we have not the lowest millage rate, but the next to the lowest millage rate. Gettysburg has a much larger tax base, and so they can get away with a lower millage rate. We talked about this last month at our State of the District presentation. This is a list of the capital projects that we're proposing. The freezer compressors in both the elementary and the high school need replaced. There's just no saving them at this point. We've tried to make repairs. They're not holding up. They're at their end of life. I think the one in the elementary goes back to the 70s. The one in the high school is from the 90s. And we can't risk losing food in the freezers. So this is, I consider this must do. We have a second payment on the stadium lights. We've talked about the elementary school generator, again from the 70s. I think there was an addition on that building sometime, but the generator was never updated. So the most we can do is keep the lights on. With all the technology that we use for instruction, we got to have a better backup. There's a detector needs replaced in the gym. It's part of the alarm system. The maintenance shed roof, of course, we've talked about that a few times, $85,000. We've been refreshing certain offices around the building. The middle school was done a couple of years ago. The admin office really needs it. The wallpaper was falling off the walls. And then I've been told that we could use a new wrestling practice mat. So I added that to the list since last month. So $699,000 we would be spending out of fund balance. We're not increasing taxes to fund these projects. We would use money that's already in the district. This is a little hard to see from where you sit. I checked it earlier, but this is just PSERS rates. It's one of the bigger expenses of the district. Fiscal year 25 was last year 33.9. Fiscal year 26 is 34%, and it's going to be 33.59 for fiscal year 27. So we are hanging out in this 34% range since at least fiscal year 20. And they have forecasted for fiscal year 32 up to 36%. And that is because PSERS has a lot of unfunded liability. I guess there's a lot of retirees out there, and so we have to, all the districts in the state have to chip in more to fund that liability. And we do get a 50% subsidy on this, so our expense net is half of that. But we have to pay this to PSERS, and then the state gives us 50% of it back in our revenues. Again, we're proposing 1%. The Act 1 index, again, was 4.1. Local revenues are pretty much based on historical, or if I know what it's going to be, because PDE has released some number, I put the new number in the budget, so anticipated rates. And then other revenue lines are consistent with current trends. So what we have for the coming year is proposed revenues of $24,094,000 and proposed expenditures of $24,793,000. The difference is the $699 that we're going to fund through fund balance for the capital projects. Included in the tax increase of 1% is an additional funding for future ACTI expansion of $100,000. So the 1% increase is pretty much the ACTI savings for future expansion. Local revenue. This I find interesting. Our tax base increased $9.6 million, which by itself is going to generate an additional $118,000 in revenue for the district. I've did some comparison of the reports. It looks like we're building some homes in Carroll Valley. There's all the four entities all have some growth, but the largest was in Carroll Valley. So I know there's lots up there, and so there's new homes being built. In Carroll Valley, they're up on the mountain, you probably don't even see it happening. But that's gonna generate $118,000 in additional revenue for the district. Our real estate tax collection is 97%, which I think is pretty good. And again, we have the 1% increase. So this shows all the local revenues. We had in last year's budget, 14,023,000. Here it's 14,417,000. So it's an increase of 400,000. Some of it, most of it's coming from the real estate taxes. There's the delinquent real estate tax collection has been doing very well. So there's 100,000 there. And then earned income tax has been running ahead of what we budgeted last year. So there's 84,000 there. I guess the economy is doing pretty well. People are working, and that 1% that we collect, what we call the local tax, is bringing in additional revenue. State revenue is based on trend. It's not too many changes there. Our transportation subsidy has gone up. The Ready to Learn grant has a big increase in it. Now this is going to be offset by expenses. The money we receive for grants, of course, we have to spend it. So there's going to be expenses that offset this revenue. So it's not like we can use this to fund our normal operations. This is extra things that we're going to be buying. With the increase in salary and benefits that are coming, we're going to have some additional Social Security and retirement subsidy, which I mentioned on the previous slide. So we'll go from 1.4 million up to 1.5 million on PSERS subsidy money. Now, federal revenue, with the ending of ARP-ESSER, the district really only gets Title I, II, and IV money. And then the money we get for meals, the cafeteria, which is in a different fund, that's also considered federal dollars. The scuttlebutt out there is that Title I, II, and IV are either going to remain flat or there's going to be some reduction. So for purposes of this presentation, I did reduce Title I, II, and IV some, so that 25-26 we collected 211,000, and I'm only estimating 169,000 for the upcoming year. This too is offset by equal expenses. So if we do receive more than 169, then we'll have to spend it on Title I, II, or IV initiatives. Okay, moving on to expenses. This is 100 object code. This is salary and wages. It's going to bump up 365,000. The collective bargaining agreement for the teaching staff has a 4.3% increase in it. We've also have proposed 2 new positions. There's going to be a need for an additional aide in the middle school autism classroom. And then I budget for the maximum coaching staff. And so that's a 4.17% increase. There have been a few teachers that have resigned or retired, and their replacements are going to come in at a lower amount on the chart. And so we're not actually hitting the entire 4.3%. Object code 200, those are the benefits. That's the payroll taxes, insurance, PSERS is in here. That's going up 355,000. I budgeted for insurance for the proposed new positions. I don't know if those people will be electing insurance or if they'll be electing family coverage or simple coverage. So I put dollars in here to cover that. That's why this is a little bit higher than the salaries because of the health insurance. Our premium rates are going to go up 4% in the coming year. 300 is our purchased services. That is relatively flat. We had a slight decrease of $11,000. Property services, there again, it's up a little bit for repair and maintenance matters. We always seem to find something that needs fixed. So there again, it's not totally flat, but relatively flat. The 500s, we have a decrease there, and it's mainly coming from changes in the funding formula for cyber charter school tuition. This last year in the state, they got the new laws passed, and we are going to save some money on, especially students with IEPs that are attending a cyber charter school. Those rates, they made a change to the formula, and we're going to actually save a little money on tuition. And also the intermediate unit has discontinued their district withholding. We're not going to be contributing any money to the IU in the coming year. The 600 is supplies. That is where our books and software, fuel comes in. That's up 200,000. We can't stop buying supplies. Also in here, I do have included the Ready to Learn grant expenses because I have to report our expenditures to PDE when I upload the budget. So it all has to be. Equipment, based on our capitalization policy, for something to be considered equipment that would be depreciated, it has to have a $5,000 cost to it. So we're just not budgeting as many things in the 700s as we used to. So there's a decrease there, not a big one. 800 dues, fees, and interest. It's up. Our interest costs are dropping, but I had to reset the contingency back to 150. So that pushed this up to 98. And this is our debt service. So as our interest goes down, our principal goes up. So this is mainly an increase in principal payments on the bonds that the district has. And so this is a summary. Again, we're going to increase spending about $1 million. Now, this is the same set of numbers, but it's organized by function, which you consider that like departments. So instruction is still our biggest expense, and it should be. We're $13.5 million there. Our support services, library, guidance, admin, 7.9, almost 8. Non-instructional is like the activities, 800. And then the 5,000s is our financing, and also in here is our planned capital expenditures. So we come to the same $1.4 million looking at the expenses from a function standpoint instead of an object standpoint. Here I mentioned the bonds. This is what's coming up. We have a debt service, principal plus interest, in the 1.7 range for the next 3 years. Here, this is added together, 6.9, 33 to 37 is 8.1, and then 38, 39 or 3.2. The district's got bonds out there all the way to 2039, and it's about $18 million. So that's information for you all to have. The timeline, tonight, of course, we're talking about the budget. You have a voting meeting next week. There will be a motion to approve for the proposed budget. Then the district has to advertise that it's available. We have to make the budget available for public inspection at least 20 days prior to the adoption. And your last board meeting in June is the 22nd. So that will be the vote to adopt the final budget. And that is the end. Is there discussions or questions?
For me to ask questions?
Not really. Can you just send us an email? Can I give you my email?
Yeah.
And then any questions you have, then we can get you answered.
Yeah, the discussion and questions is for the board members. Yeah. It's not dissimilar from last year. It's a 1% increase, which we're able to do because of increases in other funding. A bulk of the spending is for capital projects, which we pay for out of fund balance, which is money that we've already accumulated here in the district.
Mr. Will, I know we can't tell what's going to happen in the future, but I always have concerns if you back to the increase of taxes year for year for year for year. When districts do a zero and don't take any tax at all, I'm fearful that the following year, like in that case, we went from 0 to a 4.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that, although we can't tell the future, that I don't want to not take, I mean, we're taking out enough for ACTI, and I'm okay with it, and I'm happy that we're doing that, and I hope that that works out. But I don't want to hit our community next year and go, oh, we only took 1 last year, so this year we got to take a ton. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? What is your confidence level that we're going to be able to not do that?
My comments.
Well, we know what's in the bargaining agreement for next year. I think it's a flat 4%. We've planned for the health insurance, probably another 4% next year. I think the state's going to continue to send us more money. I feel pretty good about it. You know, I don't think we would have a major jump. You know, like I said, a lot of the spending that you're seeing here, out of that $1 million, 700,000 is capital, which is being funded from fund balance. So we're only really jumping maybe 300,000. So no, I'm not concerned. We've been prudent, careful.
Scott, if I can add one other piece, so that 0, I'll say I'm responsible for too. It's my first year in the district, not really knowing. Again, I was here a few months. And I'm not really a fan of coming in and saying, oh, I pretend I know everything. And so I thought it was really prudent to start at 0. The next year, again, discussion at the board, again, that 2-ish% kind of keep it flat and no big spikes. That's why, again, the discussion at the board at that time was, well, not kind of make up for the 0, but to get us back in line, the 2.7, 208, et cetera, that you see on the slide. last year or 24, 25, again, that 3.6. And now, this current year, we're at 2, and, 26, 27, we're recommending 1. So I appreciate the question. The 0 is that outlier, the throbbing thumb. That was truly, again, my first year in the district, not really having a really good look under the hood in 3 months of time. So I agree with Mr. Wilk. I think the ready to learn money will continue to come from the state. That adequacy, those adequacy dollars that we continue to get as a district, those will continue to, I think, flow from the state. Remember that lawsuit that is at the state level that the General Assembly hasn't funded public ed to the degree that they should. That's where that ready to learn money and the adequacy money comes from. So I really think we're in, not having this crystal ball, I think a really good fiscal position. Not knowing, to your point, Mr. Lillard, what that future truly looks like, but I think we're very prudent. I think really good fiscal stewards, and I don't want to steal Mr. Wilt's comment in our discussions, but I think it's worth sharing that we are growing in our budgeting process and understanding of the budget throughout the district. And I just think that makes us, even budget even more efficiently than what maybe we have done in the past.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back here to the earlier years before COVID, here we were 1.5, 2.7, 1.75, 2.8, and we had the 0, and then we had 4 and 3.63. So we're kind of getting back to where we were before COVID. One of the things I share with Mr. Haupt is I feel the district as an entirety is maturing in the budgeting process. Principals are learning, I've been learning, other department heads are learning how to think about what we need for the next year, build a budget based on that information, and not simply just add 2% to what was spent last year or 3%, to actually plan for the things that we're going to buy. Maybe we bought curriculum last year, we don't need to buy it this year. So let's not budget for it this year. Certain supplies, we check the supply closet. We see, okay, we have this much already on hand, so let's not just buy more. So I do feel the district is getting more mature or proficient in the budgeting process. And so, I feel 1% is all we really need for the upcoming year. And I think the year after that, you'll probably be back in this 1.5 to maybe even 1 again range.
Not having a crystal ball.
Right, not having a crystal ball. Yes. We have been catching up a lot of deferred maintenance. There's still more to do. But what's been done in the past is done. It doesn't have to be repeated. Not for a while anyways. So, yeah, I'm confident.
Mr. Bo, can you do me a favor and back up a couple more slides where you see the breakdown of the 1%, 2%, 3% options?
Well,
That one.
here goes to how it might affect a homeowner.
Yep.
Yeah, this is based on $228,000 house. Well, assessed value. Market-wise, it might be more. So a 1% increase would increase a tax bill $28. 2%, 56, 2.5, 70, 3, 84, 412, and the 4.1, which is the max, would be 100.
When we put it out for the public to view, do we show all, obviously assessed value of homes are going up and everything else? When we send that out, do we show the extra money that's coming in from that? And I get, does that make sense? Like the home values went up, so we're obviously getting more money before we raise any.
So you're talking about the tax base one?
Yeah.
Well, those would be mostly new homes or people that put
I think so what I'm getting at is my concern is if we have to come back next year and even ask for two, because maybe those values don't go up like they did this year, but our expenses are still gonna continue to go a little bit. I'd like to have something to say, hey, all this extra money didn't come in from this side of the fence this time.
Yeah.
So now we have to do it from here, you know?
Yeah,
I just don't know how it's presented to the public, because
yeah, the tax,
Jay will be connected.
the tax base, is provided to me by Adams County.
So Mr. Wilt, just want, I think to Mr. Fisher's point, this presentation, like when we present, we'll put this on the website.
Okay,
People will see it, we keep it up, like last year's, I think is still there now.
okay,
We put this one up, Mr. Fisher will take last year's down.
okay.
So if people truly want to go and review the information, it's there,
Yeah, I just like to be able to show history, like.
absolutely.
Yeah, every February, the county sends me a report and it's got a total at the bottom. I can see what the tax base is in the district. And I have a couple of years worth of those reports now. When I lay them side by side and compare, what I see is that Carroll Valley is the biggest grower. The other entities grow too, Hamilton Bay and even Fairfield. But I guess what I've been told is there's some empty lots up there in Carroll Valley. People are building homes. And so the tax base goes up. It went up, last year, it went up over $10 million. Now, I can't say that it's going to go up 10 million every year.
Yeah.
But for the past 2 years, it has gone up over 10.
Mr. Wilt, the ACTI buffer that we're doing, how is that gonna work? We're gonna do that every year, but let's say next year ACTI finds that piece of land and decides to build. Are we gonna have to pay some?
Well, I for the purchase of the land, no. I have information as to what the price is. We can probably just pay cash for our portion of that purchase. What we're doing here is building up a fund to reduce the borrowing expense in the future.
Okay.
Once they finally get around to putting up that, I don't know, maybe $50 million building.
It's anywhere from like, I've heard numbers from 45 to 70, but I think somewhere between 50 and 60 is going to be that expensive.
I know new construction, that sort of thing is not low price.
And I know, again, superintendent's conversations that we've had with business managers, even like that $35 million, like the affordability factor is obviously extremely important for the districts to be able to, again, if we need to borrow money, our borrowing capacity is going to be different than Conewago or other districts. If districts are able to pay cash for their portion or a mixture of that. So again, to Mr. Grant's point, the additional $100,000, and I think for the last 3 years, we've consistently put that same amount back. It's really to offset those future expenses that we know we're hopeful are coming. And if we're able to, again, not take out as big of a bond, obviously that saves no
Kind of like-
interest on that
It's
bond.
kind of like saving up for a down payment.
Correct, that's right.
Do we know what our number increase will be for this new building or not yet?
For ACTI, we do not know. Again, right now, the JOC is still working to purchase land. So once we know that, then we would come back to the board and say, here's our percent cost of, no different than how we broke down the ACTI cost. We'll get a percentage of that expense, and then we make a decision how we're paying for that.
I guess I wasn't sure if do they already have new plans for this building? And with that being said, do they know, like Fairfield, you have 4 spots right now. With this new building, you might now have 60.
Not yet. So again, the feasibility study, I think was in 23. Ted, does that
How
sound
many
right?
spots is in?
23, 24.
Student, yeah.
So we're building this new building, do we get more spots or no?
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yes, because we're potentially adding, and I have to use the word potentially, adding new programs, which would then obviously give us additional space. What we can't say is, I think the feasibility study, Mrs. Bollinger, was built was really factored into a $75 million project. And I think all of us as sending districts, we've said we really don't believe we can afford the 75 million. So how many programs we would actually add, we're unclear. That will have a direct impact on how many additional seats we get or kids that we get to send to ACPM.
Okay.
So when we know all of those answers, then we can, I think, have a more meaningful discussion of we're able to send blank number of kids to the program. But right now, today, I can't answer.
Okay. I mean, I like what we're doing in-house, so that's why I was,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we can't do everything ACTI does,
Right.
but we obviously can help or do for more
We can't.
here, so.
Well, I'll tell you, it was a lot of work putting this together, but I enjoyed myself. I don't know, I like numbers.
You love your. Clearly. I'm glad you like numbers, Scott.
Hopefully, you understand what we're trying to do here and, hopefully you maybe learn a few things tonight too.
In years past, we had a list of like things that were on a wish list, or do we not?
Oh, yeah, so this year we truly, I mean, the wish list, honestly, it's not a wish list. These are things that we need. Again, the compressors are the best example. Like that one in the elementary building, I think it's from 1973. We've gotten more than the life expectancy out of that. The generator, which is the largest expense of that, $699. Again, that's on the list because of safety, because like if we need to run power. And right now the load of the current generator cannot run even the things that are on it when the power goes out. So these are, we could give you a wish list. I think Mr. Wiltz.
I think the last month's State of the District presentation had a few things. I remember Mr. Herman mentioned about what we probably are due to replace a one zero turn mower. The tractor that we use is end of life. But he had those in his plan for next year. So the wish list items were on the State of the District.
What we don't want to do is bring items forward that we don't believe this year are needed. These are needed items in our recommendation to you for this coming budget.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we need anything for the new, what we're doing with that space? Or no, we won't need that for like the tech?
That'll all come through ready to learn.
Ready to learn.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So again, back to we're getting much more efficient in our budgeting, which is a great process. People in the district are learning more about the process and having more ownership of the process, not just know it's something that Mr. Wilton puts together. So we've really had those conversations where we can pull from grants. We're going to do that to again supply other opportunities for our kids.
So if I'm hearing correctly, there's no real more big, large projects that are pressing, no more capital projects that are pressing for next year, like the generators.
The high school generator is,
That'll be coming, but we don't believe that we think the high school generator is still viable enough for this next year. As I think that was also on the State of the District, that's coming, we just don't need it now.
I'm just wondering, like, if we're at a good point at 1, going to 1.5, would that be able to take any of these other big projects and get them done earlier? So we're not paying the extra cost that's gonna be coming when we have to pay for them next year.
Well, we've thought of that. And one of the things that Mr. Herman and I discussed is staff. We don't want to bite off more than we can chew.
Okay.
And there's, even though we bring in contractors to do most of the work, Mr. Herman and his team still have a lot to deal with over the summer. Sometimes it's clearing out a space so that the contractor can come in and do their work. Then all those things have to be put back. So there's a lot of coordination and assistance that is required to get some of these projects done. And so we don't really want to bite off more than we can chew. But yes, I've talked to Mr. Herman about, getting some of this stuff done now rather than later. But then we have to think, well, what about our staff? We don't have infinite staff to do the work. I mean, the grass still has to be mowed all summer long. We're still prepping fields for the fall sports. So it boils down to manpower in addition. And I wouldn't really want to take a bigger bite out of fund balance right now anyway.
This is Kirchner again, we're trying to, like we've done in other budget presentations, we're trying to get this like, somewhat relatively smooth rather than these large, like $2.5 million list. So we're trying to really be thoughtful in that approach and have really good, I think, internal conversations to really bring forward these we need. Next year, you'll see another, I think, similar list of need items. Again, some of these we're still paying for, some of that deferred maintenance. We're working really hard to not put the district in a position when everything then breaks at the same time to have that spiked expense whenever that is down the road.
Yeah.
Well, and to your point, you're getting better at this part of it.
Correct.
And that's obvious by, like, we still have the gym floor in the elementary school to do.
Yes.
All that, those things that were budgeted for and put on that list last year.
And the top of the parking lot.
That's all accounted for in this?
No, that's accounted for in last
Still
year.
this year's budget. Okay.
Yeah.
That's scheduled for June once classes begin.
Yeah, so, yes, to your point, we're not.
Talked about a parking lot.
Yeah, it'll be a cost of anywhere from, I heard
If we really-
$40,000 to $400,000 for the parking lot.
Is that something we need to have a further discussion about, try and squeeze that in this year, or?
Or at least start.
I would say that's not something we're gonna recommend. If you as a board want us to put that in, then you can direct us to do that. That's not what we're recommending though.
Joe, Mr. Herman, he is a great communicator with me. He's keeping me informed of things that need replaced or maintenance. So, I feel like I'm not in the dark with anything. A couple of weeks ago, he mentioned the curtains in the elementary school. And, we replaced the ones in the high school. So it makes sense that we're gonna have to do the ones in the elementary. But we'll get the floor done and then we'll talk about curtains. But he is thinking about what might be needed next year and the year after that.
So this assigned fund balance, it's coming from the assigned fund balance. That's like savings?
Yes, that's a way to think about it. It's, there's 5 components to fund balance. I don't want to bore you, but there's restricted fund balance, which is law dictates how that money gets spent. There's unassigned fund balance, which is like a surplus at the end of the year. It's not dedicated for anything. Then there's committed fund balance, which it gets committed through board action. And it needs to be, when you decide that we're going to spend it, it takes board action to spend it. Assigned fund balance is money I set aside for things that I know are coming up in the future. And then there's non-spendable, which is usually just related to prepaid expenses or inventory. So the assigned fund balance is what you do, like, for example, the school generator for next year is $400,000. So at the end of 26, at the end of current year, I will have an assigned fund balance of $400,000 for that generator. I've set money aside out of savings to cover these expenses, and they won't get used for anything else.
We're not draining our savings, we're still putting money into it, like, we're not saying, okay, we still have this savings and we're just continuing to take it out every year. We're not raising taxes and we're not putting anything back in that account, and then we're gonna come and say, okay, now we're still equaling
Here, the district is doing well, okay? I see what you're saying. But what happens usually every year is we tend to spend less than we planned, but our income seems to be right on target or exceeds. So there's usually a surplus at the end of every year. Now, they may not always happen. I can't guarantee that. So that surplus feeds fund balance. And then projects like this spend it. So it's in and out, in and out. It's not like we're totally draining. That's why I don't really want to bite out more than this right now.
I understand. I just wanna make sure we're not gonna come to a point where,
Well, and maybe I misunderstood, but those bonds, are they, what kind of bonds are they?
Well, apparently here in the district, I don't know if you guys, anybody here was around in 20 or 19. I guess we had to replace a lot of rooftop units. And the district took out, they borrowed money to pay for that. And that's where old bonds.
Okay, so they're like loans.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
People, you're a government entity, you issue bonds, you pay interest. Some other person buys those bonds and so you're borrowing money from institutions in the public.
Yes, I was thinking of reverse, I was thinking we were, okay, yeah, gotcha.
And again, I think those bonds are for, again, I know it's curse word in the district, but the mold and then the remediation of that and then the air conditioning units to like basically ensure that that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And that's the reason for the bond, or the bonds plural, I should say.
Yeah, and on the bonds, the rep that the district uses, I talked to him a couple of days ago. They're constantly keeping their eye out on interest rates to, if they feel that there's, the district can save money by refinancing. But he's not seeing any signs of that right now. Because we could redeem these bonds, issue new ones at lower interest rates, but there's no point in doing that at this time. So we have a person who's, keep an eye on that for us.
Quick question. So everything on this list, so I'm gonna go back actually, everything on last year's wish list or capital projects or all that, are all of those things after the gym floor and after the summertime, all of those things gonna be accounted for that were approved in last year's budget?
Yes.
There's not gonna be anything, okay.
I'm not, the maintenance roof, that's probably not gonna be done. The figure that we had last year for the maintenance roof ended up being way too low.
Right.
Mr. Herman is still talking to different contractors, getting options. We could coat the roof, or we can tear it off and put a new one on, and then what the cost of those options are. So he's still getting information on the maintenance roof. So that was not done. But we have it here again this year. That would be the only thing on last year's list not done. But yeah, once everything was approved, those POs went out and all those things got knocked out. Now, the gym floor at the elementary, we decided to wait until class dismisses. And so that's still to be done in June. But everything else has been done. Stage curtains, stadium lights, scoreboard, all those things are done. Okay.
Well, thank you for making this a
Thank you.
relatively pleasant budget meeting, Mr. Will.
Again, we will post this on the website tomorrow.
does anyone have any other questions?
General comment? I think the gentleman did a very good job on the presentation. I'd like to commend him. When I was at Mass, we were dealing with numbers 4 times that, either, so I know you're working hard to keep it down. Very surprised to do 1%. I'm pleased with that. The other thing is your generator at school, is that for backup power?
Well, if it go back up.
Well, the other reason why I'm saying is we're buying one for the Borough Hall,
Oh,
and they were all over the place with the estimates. So I think you'll find that with your generator.
we're,
Yes,
well, yeah.
I know we
it's-
will.
Gotta dig around.
Yeah.
We need to, well, the electric goes off here.
Regularly.
Well,
Yeah, seriously. It could be a beautiful day like today and the power would go out.
With
No rhyme or, no rhyme or reason.
with all the technology we use these days for construction, we have to have a generator that can run the servers.
Yeah.
And the Wi-Fi.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much, and Mr. Wilt, as we've all said, it was a very nice presentation, so thank you. We do have our next meeting, which is Monday, May 18th at 7 in the district boardroom. And if there's no further discussion, I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.